चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करो पहले। हाँ जल्दी करो, मुझे पता है कि आप लोग नहीं करते हो, वीडियो देखते हो लेकिन सब्सक्राइब नहीं करते। ये लाल कलर का बटन नहीं से दबाओ, जल्दी दबाओ।
Welcome to the academic writing series produced by Ask Academic Skills at Brunel University. In this episode, we'll be talking about how to begin introductions. Imagine if I were to start this video like this. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about how to begin introductions to essays. I will discuss why this is important, then I'll discuss some different examples of good introductions, and then I will conclude. Be honest, you'd be hitting pause and getting out of there in no time. So why on earth would you start an essay like this? In this essay, I will discuss banned books. First, I will discuss the history of book banning, then I will discuss some examples of banned books, and finally, I will discuss current debates around book banning. Here's your first rule. An essay introduction does not just announce your topic. It also doesn't just list everything that you're going to talk about in the essay. A good introduction, and this is the key point, does not just tell your reader what you're going to say. It tells your reader why they should care about what you're going to say. In other words, a good introduction hooks the audience. Then it briefly gives an overview of the essay structure, and it cuts to the chase with an argument or thesis statement. For now, we're just going to have a look at the hook part. For more on how to structure introduction as a whole, check out the Ask video called Structuring Introductions. So how do you create that hook? There are 6 strategies you might try, among many others. For example, you could begin with a quotation, a definition, an interesting fact or statistic, a question, an anecdote, or a concession. All of these can be really useful when you're trying to brainstorm and get started. You might try out each of them just to figure out how you actually want the essay to begin and to start getting your ideas flowing. But I understand, you want some examples. So let's go through them one by one. If you begin with a quotation, make it a memorable one, and make sure it relates directly to your topic. Just Googling around for anything you can find is not the way to go here. For example, the novel Lolita, critic Charles Blight said in 1959, is proof that American civilization is on the verge of total moral collapse. Dramatic reactions such as this are not uncommon in American history, and they often led to the banning of great literary works. You can see how this would lead into an overview of the essay and finally the author's thesis statement. Again, it's an academic, authoritative quotation as opposed to a cliché or something quickly found through Google. Similar rules apply if you begin with a definition. You do not want to do this. A book can be defined as a set of written or blank sheets of paper bound into a volume. Yeah, you want to stay away from that. Try to come up with a definition that's somehow unique to what you're going to be talking about and put it into your own words. Don't define something that's common knowledge. For example, it is not uncommon for works of children's literature to be challenged, meaning that a formal complaint is made in an effort to have a book removed from a school or library. Again, the important factor here is that what you're defining isn't a textbook definition. It's something specific to what you'll be discussing and in your own words. If you begin with an interesting fact or statistic, obviously the key word is interesting. Try to give something that your reader is going to find really intriguing and make them want to read more. Here's an example. The American Library Association has recorded 10,676 attempts to ban children's books over the last 2 decades. Over a third of these challenges were on the basis of sexual explicitness, and so on. If you begin with a question, try to make it something provocative and interesting and not something that your reader will immediately have an answer for. Who should be responsible for deciding what is suitable for children to read, parents or teachers? You may not even explicitly answer this question in your essay, but talk around it. Again, it's just a way of getting your reader interested in the topic you're going to be discussing. An anecdote is just a story or a narrative, and the key with using them in introductions is to keep them short. Try to tell a short story within a couple of sentences that leads right into your preview of your essay and your main point or thesis statement. For example, when Julia Harriman sent her son off to his new school with a copy of the latest Harry Potter book, she had no idea that she was sparking a war of words in Upton, Alabama. Local parents had sought to have the book removed from the school library, and Harriman had unknowingly placed herself in the center of a bitter debate. Finally, you can begin with a concession. This just means that you acknowledge the other side of the argument you're going to make, and it shows your reader that you understand different viewpoints. It has been argued with some persuasiveness that if parents are the arbiters of their child's social education, they should have an influence on what that child reads in school. However, And with that, however, you can see where this introduction is going to go into the writer's personal argument. These examples and more are available on the Ask Advice sheet, Startup Strategies for Introductions and Conclusions, available on the ground floor of the library in the Ask area. You can also get a digital copy by visiting the Ask section in Blackboard Learn. So just remember, using one of these strategies, you can write an introduction that hooks your reader and ensures that they want to keep reading the rest of your essay. This has been a presentation by Ask Academic Skills at Brunel University.